pharmacokinetic principles. When we talk about practical therapeutics, it should be kept in mind that drug should be able to reach its intended site of action. It is possible that you administer the drug at some other point, and after the administration, it must reach to its site of action inside the body. Uh, there is a concept of prodrug. It is basically a chemical that is readily absorbed, and the purpose is that it is readily distributed upon administration. And after this, it is converted to active drug by some biological processes that are occurring in our body. So, such a chemical is called a prodrug, which activates inside our body. By activation, we mean that it produces its biological action after being activated, and this activation occurs inside our body by some biological processes. uh, some drugs can be applied directly to the target action, and mostly these are some topical application of drugs. For example, there are some anti-inflammatory ointments that are applied topically on the inflamed skin or some or mucous membranes to prevent to provide relief. uh, Mostly, if we talk about the maximum cases, drug is always administered into a one body compartment. For example, if we consider that that body compartment is gut, then it must have to move to its site of action. It means that it moves from one compartment of the body to another compartment of the body. For example, if it is being administered in the gut, that it is possible that it traveled from this compartment to the brain, which is another compartment of the body. So it means that drug must be absorbed into the bloodstream from its site of administration, and then it is distributed to its site of action. In continuity, that drug is absorbed from the blood and then it reaches the site of administration. This process requires a lot of steps. It means that the drug has to pass through some membranes. It means that permeation is an important step. So drug permeates through various barriers that separate these compartments. For example, if the drug is moving from from one compartment to another compartment, from gut to CNS into the brain, it means that it is crossing various barriers which are present between these compartments. So if we consider that a drug which is given orally, if we want to check that it produces an effect in the central nervous system, the barriers that come for this drug includes the tissues that comprises of the walls of the intestine, for number one, then the walls of the capillaries that perfuse the gut, and then blood brain barrier, the walls of the capillaries that perfuse the brain. So uh, after bringing about its effect, a drug should be eliminated at a reasonable rate from the body, and this occurs by a sub metabolic inactivation, by excretion from the body, or by a combination of these processes. Permeation of drug occurs by different processes. The most common is the passive diffusion in an aqueous or lipid medium. Number two is the active processes that plays a very important role in the movement of drugs, especially for those molecules which are too large, or so because of their large size they do not diffuse easily. When this is the case, then usually active processes came into action, and drug permeation takes place with the help of active transport mechanisms. Aqueous diffusion occurs within the larger compartments of the body, and these larger compartments constitutes these larger compartments includes interstitial space or cytosol, and aqueous diffusion also occurs through the epithelial membrane, tight junctions, and also through the endothelial lining of the blood vessels. There are very tight junctions, and in between these tight junctions there are some aqueous pores which are present, and through these aqueous pores drugs are transported or permeated, and the size of those drugs may vary from 20,000 to 30,000 in terms of molecular weight. Uh, but there are some organs in the body, for example in brain and in testes, and there are some other tissues where there is absence of such pores, and the absence of such pores that permit the aqueous diffusion of many drug molecules into the tissue. So due to the absence of the pores, their drugs are not easily permeated into these organs. So they also, and another important property of these organ is that they also possesses high concentration of drug export pumps. So these are the tissues which are normally being protected, or they are sanctuary sites from many of the circulating drugs. This aqueous diffusion of drug molecules usually driven by concentration gradient, and the law that is followed is simply the fixed law of diffusion, that molecules move from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration, which is a downhill movement through a permeating wall. And drug molecules that are bound to larger proteins, that for example if a drug is bound to some albumin, it will not permeate through these aqueous pores. And also if the drug is charged, it means that its charge or its flux is also influenced by the electric fields. By electric field we means the membrane potential, the potential which is present in the membrane and in parts of the end of the nephron. For nephron also has some charge present on it. And also transtubular potential there is present in some membranes. So basically, if the drug is charged, its movement is also influenced with the charges which are present on the membranes. Next is the lipid diffusion. Lipid diffusion, it is basically a limiting factor for drug permeation. Why? It is because a large number of lipid barriers are present inside the body, and these lipid barriers basically separate the different compartments of the body. And as these lipid barriers separate aqueous compartments, the lipid aqueous partition coefficient of the drug determines that how readily a particular molecule of a drug or a particular drug moves between the aqueous phase and the lipid media. For example, in case of weak acids and weak bases, these weak acids and weak bases have a property that they gain or lose electrical charge uh, because of gaining or giving of protons. And this attainment or this removal of proton basically depends on the pH of the medium. So ability to move from aqueous to lipid phase or from lipid to aqueous phase varies actually with the pH of the medium. So because it is because charged molecules always attract water molecules. So we can say the ratio of lipid soluble form to the water soluble form for a weak acid or a weak base is actually expressed by some rule, and that rule that we follow here in pharmacology is the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. There are some special carriers. These special carrier molecules exist for certain substances, uh, and these substances are important for cell function, and they are too large or too insoluble in the lipid to diffuse passively through the membranes. For example, there are some proteins, peptides, amino acids, and glucose. They are not easily they cannot easily pass because of their larger size or because they are insoluble in the lipids. So these carriers bring about movement by active transport or a facilitated diffusion, which is unlike passive diffusion. And it is unlike passive diffusion because they are saturable, and they are inhibitable, because upon saturation of these type of systems, they stop transferring or stop permeating the trunk, so they inhibited. So that is why we are calling it inhibitable. And many of the drugs are or resemble naturally acting peptides, amino acids, or sugars, so they can use these carriers to cross membranes. Most of the drugs are proteins, most of the drugs are amino acids or sugars, and for these drugs, these special carriers are used for the transport within the body. There is another concept that some cells or many cells contain the less selective membrane carriers. For example, these are the carriers that are specialized in expelling the foreign molecules, and we call them P glycoproteins, or sometimes we call them multi drug resistance type 1 MDR1 transporters. They are mostly found in brain, as I have discussed before, and testes and some other tissues. and they are also present in some drug resistant neoplastic cells. They basically what the function of these multi drug resistance type transporter is that they expel the foreign molecule. For example, they consider the drug as a foreign molecule, and upon entering the drug into the system where this type of transporter proteins are present, they expel the drug from this particular site outside the body. A similar transport molecule, which we call MRP2, multi-drug resistance associate protein type 2 transporter, they also play an important role, but their role is in excretion of some drugs or their metabolites through urine and bile. So these multi-drug resistance protein transporters have specific functions inside our body, and they have a very significant role in modern day pharmacology, in the understanding of the modern day pharmacology. Another concept is of endocytosis and exocytosis. There are some substances, very few substances actually, they are so large or they are so impermanent that they cannot enter in the cell by endocytosis. The endocytosis is the process by which the substances engulfed in the cell membrane, and then they are carried into the cell by pinching of the newly formed vesicles inside the membrane. So this is a simple definition of endocytosis. So these substances can, once they are engulfed inside the body, then they are released inside the cytosol by the breaking of the vesicle, and upon breaking of the vesicle, the substances are released within the cell. This process is actually responsible for the transportation of some drugs. For example, a very large molecule vitamin B12, it is always complexed with some binding proteins, and we call this binding protein is actually an intrinsic factor. They cross the wall of the gut into the blood via this process. Similarly, if we talk about iron, which is very important, it is also transported into the hemoglobin synthesizing red blood cells precursors in association with the protein. The protein is transferrin. Actually, the transferrin carries the iron into the hemoglobin synthesizing red blood cells. So these specific receptors for transport proteins must be present for this process to work. The proteins, for example, this transferrin or intrinsic factors are very important. These transporter proteins are very important, and they must be present for this process of endocytosis to work. And the opposite of this is exocytosis, that is a reverse process. It is responsible for the secretion of many substances from the cells. There are many neurotransmitters which are stored inside the membrane. These are actually neurotransmitters are stored in the membrane bound vesicles in the nerve endings to protect them from metabolic destruction into the cytoplasm, because if they are released into the cytoplasm, they become degraded by the metabolizing enzymes. So appropriate activation of these nerve endings causing the fusion of the storage vesicles with the cell membrane, and then when this cell membrane when the fusion occurs of this storage vesicle with the cell membrane, the contents, which are neurotransmitters in this case, they are expelled into the extracellular space. So this is opposite to endocytosis. This is the process of exocytosis. The passive movement of the molecules always follows a law, that is the Fick's law of diffusion, that molecules always move down a concentration gradient, and this Fick's law, as it is presented in this slide, is a equation where there are two concentrations, C1 and C2, and C1 is always it is the higher concentration, and C2 is the lower concentration. So it means that the drug molecules are moving from C1 to C2, and the A is the area is the area through which this diffusion takes place, that a molecule is moving from C1 to C2, and the area between them is A, and there is a permeability coefficient. It is the measurement of the mobility of the drug molecule, that how fast a drug molecule is moving through the medium of the diffusion path, that how there are some molecules that can move fast, there are some molecules that can move slow. Obviously the medium plays a role in providing some resistance. So the basically area and permeability coefficients are they are directly proportional to the flux, that is the molecules per unit per time, and there is an inverse relation as the thickness of the length of the path, that is the uh, how much thick is the diffusion path. In case of lipid diffusion, the lipid aqueous partition coefficient is the major determinant of the mobility of the drug. A compound, it is more lipid, it is easily transported, and if a compound is less lipid soluble, then it is difficultly transported. So it determines how readily the drug enters to the lipid membrane from the aqueous medium.